You're listening to Shoe In, covering the ins and outs of all things footwear, from sneakers to heels, loafers to slippers, and every type of shoe in between. Brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. And now your footwear insiders, Matt Priest and Andy Polk.
Welcome back to the Shoe and Show, everyone, to all our shoeaholics joining us today. Again, as we kick off 2021, we're doing this leadership series because there's so much churn in the market. There's so many new things happening. 2020, we were really trying to focus this show on conversations around evolution in real time. And now these shows are really focused on kind of outlook and what's happening and hopefully some optimism. So Matt, what I'm really excited about today is like sometimes we get brands on that I feel like are a movement that makes shoes that aren't a shoe company, but it feels like a generic, authentic movement driven by the consumer, not just making product for the consumer, but oftentimes in tandem with the culture. And I think today our listeners are in for a real treat.
Yeah, they really are, Andy. There's only a handful of brands, iconic brands within the footwear space that you can point to and say, hey, look, this is a brand that captures a culture, and you don't know where the line for the brand ends and where the culture line begins. It's just interwoven in such a seamless way. And that's why I'm super honored to have Doug Palladini, who is the president of Vans, who's also an FDRA board member on Shoe and Show. Doug, welcome to the program. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Happy New Year, gentlemen. And thank you for those kind words.
Yeah, of course. So we do this at the outset of most of our conversations, but Doug, what's your shoe story? How did you get it to Vans? Kind of what's your history with the brand? And do you skateboard? I mean, that's the question I think everyone has asked if you work at Vans. I'm sure.
You do not have to skate to work at Vans. I grew up skateboarding. I grew up in Los Angeles. And skateboarding, surfing, and then I found out about snowboarding after college. But those things were very, very important to me. I read Skateboarder magazine when magazines were something that was important. Cover to cover every issue. Surfer magazine, same thing. It's all I ever really wanted to do was be in that world. And growing up in Southern California, Vans was obviously very, very near and dear to me. I had a pair on my feet from about age 6 or 7 on. I even have a photo of me taking my soccer AYSO photos in eras. So Vans have always been important to me and a part of my life. And so the opportunity to be a part of the brand for the past almost 17 years now has just been a real highlight of my career.
That's awesome. I mean, talk about brand loyalty. We all have those pictures when we're 6 or 7 years old. And now that I'm in the industry and been in the industry for over a decade, I go back and look at those photos and say, oh yeah, I was wearing Vans there. I was wearing Cortez's with Nike there and just see those tie-ins. So now that you're at the helm, right, that you manage and you're the keeper of this brand, talk to us about what your priorities are in 2021 as you look across the landscape, and what are some things that you're really excited and bullish about as we turn into this new year?
Well, as you so kindly opened the show with, Vans' purpose and our culture rise above all else, and that's what drives everything that we do. It's a very cool thing to say that you hear all the time. It's much harder to actually make that a reality, to manifest that on a daily basis, which I think is really required. What I always tell my team is, remember, this is not a poster we put up in the lunchroom. This is something that we have to live and act on in 24-hour cycles, because that proof is required by our fans all over the world that we are honoring our purpose and our culture. And Vans' purpose is really built around this concept of enabling creative expression. And we do that through the lens of what we call 4 cultural pillars of art, music, action, sports, and street culture. And then our culture, what we talk about our culture as being one of Van Doren spirit. Van Doren family are the founders of Vans 54 years ago. 1966 was our founding year in Anaheim, California. And the family still remains an important part of who we are today. And Van Doren spirit is really about putting the people first. Paul Van Doren said that Vans is a people company that happens to make shoes and apparel. And it's something that we try to live up to, that very much higher calling. And again, another one of those things that's very cool to say these days, that we're a people company, much harder to live up to, especially when the shit hits the fan, as it did in 2020, right? When the chips are down, that's when you really see what brands are made of, what people are made of. And we certainly took our hits on financial performance, on ability to sell shoes when people are walking around their homes barefoot. But I am extremely proud of the way our people showed up and the way that our company, both Vans and VF, treated our people during a very, very difficult year in 2020.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm glad you brought that up, Doug. I actually, on a personal note, I took a trip and was at Vans headquarters in fall of 19. And I came out of a meeting room into kind of the canteen cafeteria area, and there was a memorial service going on for someone. And I have no idea what the details are, but the love in that room, remembering the employee, and I think a pastor was speaking and people were speaking, and I just was kind of walking by listening in, was like a testament to me about the culture you spoke of, right? Because there you had a corporate family, if you will, gathering together in a really thoughtful and loving way, remembering someone. And it just, to me, it spoke volumes to the four pillars that you laid out, because it showed that there was a family under the roof or within the four walls of Vans, dealing with something that was challenging, but at the same time doing it together. I thought that was really touching.
Oh, it's great to hear that. Yeah, I very much believe in sincerity as sort of the way that we have to approach who we are. And, and really, I think this brand is quite good at embracing that imperfection that makes us human. I don't think we need to show up to our fans, to our retail partners as perfect. Because it's not. It's a messy world that we're living in, and I think it's okay to be imperfect. But it's all based in that sincerity. Like, this is who we really are. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to own them. We're going to be real. We're gonna try to bring meaning to what we do that goes beyond just the things that we make and the money that we make. And I think the vast majority of the people who work at Vans are really signed up for that. And when I say work at Vans, I think it's very, very important to make sure that that context includes all the people in our factories, in our distribution centers. I don't think it's just the nice headquarters buildings that we're in around the world. I think it really goes to every retail employee, every place that says Vans above the door. We ask for that same kind of commitment to the higher calling. And it's been really gratifying, like I said, to see the response from all of our people.
That's awesome. Doug, I want to go into this whole, if you go to Vans website, I think what's really intriguing, because I'm always just curious looking at people's communications and media. But if you go to a typical brand website, the first thing you have is shoes come right up in the price and buy. Come to Vans and it's almost like a comic book intertwined with documentaries, intertwined with storytelling. And then all of a sudden down towards the bottom, they're like, oh, by the way, are you men, women, kids? What size are you? Whatever. Like, oh, by the way, we have shoes. But you have these digital outlets and channels, and it seems to be, you talk about your culture coming out in this, and you talk about your people. And I'm wondering, as people look to do more direct to consumer and look to have more engagement with consumers, and I think try to get to that level, that Vans level of culture, influencing culture and hitting it right on their product trends for the culture. What kind of people does that take that you guys have? What kind of creative types? Because I think traditionally, and I've seen this in the same way with IT, now we have more data scientists than we've ever had in the industry. We have more computer people and scientists that we may have not had 10 years ago. And it seems like now we have more and more media people than we've ever had. What does it take to put together a team that can do this? And how do you just let the creative juices flow and just throw things at the wall? How does that all happen?
Yeah, I think the answer to that question is based around playing the long game. And for Vans, the long game is brand love. I think what you would find if you went and interviewed, 50 different random people at Vans, irregardless of tenure or title or geographic location, is that we all understand that we are playing the long game. And that we're really not focused as much on selling any one thing as we are on really making sure that we build brand love first. And we believe if we do the right thing in the right way for our brand, that we build the brand love, and the outcome of that then are the financial results. There's this weird old saying in business that the end justifies the means. And I really have an issue with that way of thinking. I really believe the means yield the end. And so what we try to teach at Vans to our employees is to think about how you do what you do. Think about how you treat others. Think about how you make people feel, how you make your consumers feel, because that's what they're going to remember. I think there's a great Maya Angelou quote to that end of it. That's what people recall as human beings. We remember how other people made us feel. And so when you think about Vans, if it makes you feel good, then ultimately we think you're going to be a long-term fan. Then you get into the consumer lifetime value and repeat purchase and the loyalty that we're really looking for. So those financial metrics are there, and I think we have a good track record to show that the results are there. But it's about doing the right thing first. And so whether you're in finance or whether you're in the distribution center, whether you work in legal or our creative department, you're starting with that mindset. And I believe that's what yields the outcome that you're talking about.
Yeah. One of the other big things for Vans and VF in general is sustainability. So it's, I feel like over the last couple of years, it's been kind of a buzzword in the industry as people try to figure out what that means. There's been a lot of marketing campaigns built around green product, but you guys have really been living this for a while and really promoting it. And a big thanks to you guys for supporting FTRA's sustainability program and shoesustainability.com to help the industry reduce their environmental footprint as a collective whole, and helping us fund and helping participate in our sustainability weeks, et cetera. But as you look at, going forward, it seems like this buzzword of sustainability is becoming more and more real in our products, in our processes, and our warehouses, and our even our headquarters. How we're thinking more environmentally about how we do things. Maybe you can just share from a Van standpoint some things that you guys are really excited about around reducing environmental footprints.
Yeah, I will tell you that the weight of the footprint that we put on the planet is with us every single day. We use a tremendous amount of rubber and cotton, specifically our two major materials that we use in what we make in footwear and apparel. And so we're very, very aware of our footprint. We use, as a company, as a VF corporation, we use science-based targets to really understand what it is that we're doing to the planet and how we are going to go about amending it. And I will tell you, to be honest, we have a long way to go. We are not the shining example that we want to be yet. We hope to be. So I would tell you right now, it's much more of an aspiration than a reality. Have we made serious inroads to make things better? Of course we have. When we were going to a physical work, we went to work in a LEED Platinum building. We use a tremendous amount of organic cotton. We're going down the road of responsibly sourced and replenitive rubber. So I feel like we're doing a lot of good things, right. But I you will not see a mission accomplished banner hanging in our around our building anytime soon. It is something that weighs heavily on us. The other thing I think is very important for us about sustainability is that we do it because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
You don't see Vans. You don't see a lot of sort of green, collections, in our store windows, because we really believe this is something we just need to do because it is what we should be doing. And so it's less, I think, about consumer facing messaging than It is about just good business practice and good practice as human beings on this planet, to eliminate the footprint that we've created. The other thing I think that's very important for Vans is the sister to environmental sustainability, and that is social responsibility. And that is where we have been much more overtly consumer facing in the messaging, because as a brand, we feel like that is where our voice is most important. And so you've seen a tremendous amount of focus on DEI initiatives, Black Lives Matter, racial justice, using skateboarding and surfing, art and music as ways to make people's lives better. We do a really huge event every year called International Checkerboard Day. And the goal for Vans with Checkerboard Day this year was to help people understand the role of creativity in well-being. And I just can't say enough about how important and sort of prescient that is, given what's happened with the pandemic. It was incredible to see the reaction from people all over the world. So I do think for Vans, it's about that balance of environmental sustainability and social responsibility that makes us who we are.
That's so true. I mean, as an organization ourselves, we've been in existence 76 years. We were founded 1944 because of price controls under World War II. And nowadays, our platform is totally different. It's advocacy, but it's also all those things you talked about, Doug. It's a collective platform to tackle diversity and inclusion, sustainability and digitization, all the things that we've been so focused on. And those are recent developments for the last 4 or 5 years. And so for us, we're optimistic about what's ahead for sure. Now, when I think about Vans, I think about the iconic shoes that you all have. And we went through that trend where everyone was digging into their archives to bring out their iconic colorways and styles, like the Cortez and like these Chuck Taylors and Adidas, the Stan Smiths of the world. And now we've moved into an era where you're updating, and Vans has done a really good job of taking your iconic shoes and updating them with new materials and new colorways and new functionality. How does that process work? How do you go from taking something that's old, that's really iconic and selling really well, and then deciding how to update it and ensure that a consumer is seeing fresh new product in a way they haven't seen before?
Yeah, the honest answer to that question, Matt, is that it comes from tremendous failure and a lot of dead ends, a lot of evolutionary dead ends. Those of us who have been with the brand long enough will recall times when our iconic product, those classics such as the Skate High, the Era, the Slip-On, the Old School, the Authentic, these shoes, you couldn't even find them. Vans had lost its way so badly.
Right.
We couldn't even, as employees, get our hands on the things that we remembered growing up. And so in losing our way, we had a really powerful reset. This was in the early 2000s, had a very powerful reset, and literally went back into our vault, pulled all those old things out and said, okay, now what are we going to do to not only bring these core classics that have been such an important part of our 54 years back to life, but then what are we going to do to keep them relevant for the long term? And that really spurred so much creation. And so we take what is happening in the world today and apply that to the heritage, right? So it's the theory is heritage plus progression. So how do you honor that heritage, the iconography of the checkerboard and the side stripe, but also progress it and keep it evolving and moving forward at the same time? The materialization, the construction, the people with whom we collaborate offer, we have so many fans now. It's been great to say, who's out there that's a fan that can help add their take to it. And it's been so gratifying to see all the young up and coming brands want to work with us because they have such a built-in love for the things that we do, those classics that they grew up wearing, and they want to crack at adding their own creative mix. So we've just been so fortunate in that regard to have all these creative voices come and want to work with us as well. So it is that heritage plus progression. I think that's the mindset that we take. when we think about honoring our legacy, but keeping that evolution moving forward with the classic footwear.
I love that balance between the two. And the other thing that's out there that you guys can rely on is just the common customer, right? In the sense that now you have this customization. In the last year, I've customized two pair of Vans using pictures I took on a family trip, and that created this creativity for me that I didn't know I even had inside of me, and also allowed me to customize an iconic shoe that I always had as a kid with my own spin on it. And so to have that interaction with the customer base has got to be really exciting. What's the future of that in the sense of a broad scale? How complex is that? And do you glean a lot from what people send in to you?
Yeah, Matt, you just put your finger on our purpose again of enabling creative expression. And that's what the experience that you had. So nothing is more gratifying to me than hearing that. And we believe that helping people find the creative within themselves, because it is a part of who we are, all of us, we sort of teach ourselves or begin to tell ourselves as we grow up that we're not good at things. And we sort of edit ourselves out of, I think, a lot of creativity. So it's great when you find those things again. Customization, as you mentioned, while it is ubiquitous, I just got some M&Ms that a group I'm a part of sent me with my face on them. I don't know how I feel about that, but you can customize just your toilet paper, cars. Obviously, the way that they're selling cars now is you customize your own car and then order it. So it is ubiquitous. So what do we do differently? We really look at it much more through the lens of creative expression. And what's really fueling that today is user-generated content. The ability to take something that's important to you and put it on our shoe. So not just your initials or a color, a photo, something you drew, something that really inspires you. Has just been really, really incredible to see. We just launched customization on Tmall in China. We were the first brand to do that.
Wow.
To launch our customs platform at the end of last year on Tmall. And so now you're seeing customization all over the world for Vans. And again, same thing. It's user-generated content that's really driving it. And now what's very interesting, Matt, is we get millions and millions of uploads a month of all these different pieces of content. Is every time a fan draws something or puts a photo up, it's a clue for us. It's an insight into what's important to that person. And what we are doing now is we're using artificial intelligence to look across all those insights and find patterns. And when we find a pattern that we think is interesting, we design into it. So great example, so we just put out is something around butterflies. Believe it or not, we saw a trend, again, through this artificial intelligence algorithm looking across millions of pieces of user-generated content, that butterflies were really trending with our consumer. And so we did a really cool butterfly pattern on top of checkerboard and put it out there. And of course, it blew out. It evaporated because it was something we already saw that our consumers wanted. So I think that that's sort of the next thing that we're going to find with customization is closing that loop. You put something up that's important to you. We see that, then we design into it based on your inspiration, and you end up seeing it in the line on the website or in one of our stores or one of our partner stores a few months later. I think that's going to be a very interesting sort of positive, beneficiary loop that comes out of our customization efforts.
That I kid you not, we've done over 250 episodes of this show, and that is the coolest application of AI I think I've ever heard anyone using within our member companies. And it's just something I would never have thought of. So to get that insight is really awesome, Doug. I really appreciate you sharing that with us. I want to bring in, as we close out, I want to bring in Jasmine Pendergrass. Jasmine, you're gonna drop on us one of your world famous segments to get one last insight from Doug as to what he has and what he's going to get. Welcome to the show, Jasmine.
Thank you. So, Doug, I actually was going to ask you, have you be a part of our What You Got, What You Getting, because I'm always interested in what executives are wearing. But I also am curious, I have talked before about some of the collaborations that you guys have done in the past. And you have so many, from like the most recent one where Where's Waldo to there's a collaboration with like the Museum of Art and Modern Art in New York, which is one of my favorite museums. You had a collaboration with Supreme before. I mean, the list goes on. Simpsons. So I was just curious, do you have a favorite collaboration that has come up in the past, like, few years, or have you made any of your custom shoes? Like, I know exactly the shoes that, Matt is talking about that he customized. So do you have any like favorites?
Oh, that's like picking a favorite child, Jasmine. That's a really tough one. I'll say this. It was a very, very proud moment when we announced that Supreme was becoming a part of the VF family.
I bet.
Vans was Supreme's first collaboration partner back in 1996, and we've been family for a long time, and now to see them become part of the VF family is really, really powerful, and it speaks to where we're headed as a company. So I've always had a very special place in my heart for Supreme, and the collabs we do with them have often been some of my favorite. Jasmine, they're one of the few brands that we really have given the keys to the castle, so they can come in and say, hey, we got to lead with Bruce Lee's people, and we want to do some Bruce Lee stuff on Vans. Can we do that? And we're like, yeah, you do whatever you want. And there's very few people that we let do that, and they're one of the ones who have that, along with people like Dover Street Market or Opening Ceremony. There aren't very many. So I always have a very special place in my heart for that. And then, some of the big ones, some of the big, more license-driven ones, Jasmine, have been really special to me as well. I am such a Star Wars nerd. Getting to do LucasArts opened this was before Disney acquired them. They basically opened their portfolio to us and let us mash up their iconography with ours. So we took all these old Vans prints, and we did a camouflage with stormtroopers, and we did an Aloha print with Yoda. And to me, that sort of combination of their iconography and ours together will always have a special place in my heart. So if I had to call out a couple, those are what come to mind. But again, just two. And if you saw my garage, you'd laugh, because I just have too many that I love that, much to my wife's dismay, I've hung on to for a long, long time.
I mean, I will say this, Jasmine. Doug's opened the nerd door for us to walk through with the Star Wars allegiance. I will say,
you, not us, you.
The Hulk feet. I thought the Hulk collaboration from, I don't know, 2 or 3, 4 years ago was really impressive, because it looked like when you put them on, it looked like you had incredible Hulk's feet. But that's just me.
Yeah, cater to us all. Like anything from, I love Supreme, so just my age group, and then the nostalgia from Star Wars, and like even like the collaborations with some of my favorite artists like Anderson .Paak. It's been like there's collaborations for everyone, so nerds are welcome as well.
Yeah, the AP stuff, the Anderson .Paak stuff, Jasmine, has been super fun. AP has a massive amount of creative energy, as I'm sure you can tell by his music. Yeah. But we're getting to work with him. He used to work at a Vans store. He's worn Vans since he was a little kid. He grew up in a beach community in Southern California, and so he is sort of just the epitome of what we think of when we think of a Vans fan. So it's been so fun to work with him, and to see his music get the credit it deserves and to be a part of that has just been really, really gratifying for us.
Yeah, it's a genius collaboration. It makes sense.
Oh, thank you. And he's a genius, so it's an honor for us to be able to work with him.
Yeah, awesome.
Hey, Doug, as we wrap up, just a quick question for you as we look forward in 2021. What's your outlook for the footwear industry in 2021? Are we looking up? Are we looking bright? And also in terms of how you guys see the marketplace, I know there's Vans stores out there. Do you think the footprint of physical stores will remain? Will it grow? Or are we going to see just more e-commerce explosions happening?
Yeah, well, we're jumping over a pretty low bar, right? So
right.
it darn well better be up. So I don't think the bar could have gotten much lower last year. So I'm very bullish on the comeback this year. I think that we have all the brands that will prosper, that will move forward in a very positive way, have really used the very dismal 2020 pandemic experience and all of the death and destruction it brought as an opportunity to clear minds, to focus on resilience. I've been reading all this stuff from the Stoics lately.
Me too.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
it's good. It's perfect for the time we live in. It's incredible that guys who lived thousands of years ago are just so on it, compared to where we're at today. So it really has focused us and cleared our eyes on what's most important in our lives, in our total lives, not just business lives, in our total lives, but also on what's most important to our business. And so I think that clarity will bring a lot of necessary focus in 2021 and allow the brands who really buy into that thinking to come back quite strong.
Yeah, that's amazing, because I've been reading a lot of Stoicism myself through this, mainly because Marcus Aurelius went through a pandemic just like this, and his meditations are amazing in terms of the insightfulness and the way we should instruct ourselves and be calm and collective and realize that when there's an obstacle in front of us, it's not the end of the world. It's teaching us a different way to go, if we can think that way. So the impediment becomes the way, I think is what he says. So I think that's great. And I think you're dead on in terms of it. This has really allowed us to knock off the rust. It's allowed us to get rid of our fears a little bit and jump into the digital stream a lot more and try new things. And of course, you guys have been doing a lot of innovative stuff for a long time. But one big takeaway from me, Doug, just hearing from you is just culture wins, right? So as long as you have a strong internal culture and you have values and you have a North Star and all your employees are valued and they believe in that, then you can do great things and have great success in the marketplace and beyond, because you're focused on your culture and doing the right things for the right reasons. So kudos for you guys for what you do internally, but also the influence and the ability to have these collaborations and intertwine. And it sounds like you guys have a heck of a lot of fun doing it too. So that's always a great thing to hear.
Yeah, the fulfillment level remains very, very high. I think that's what it's all about. That's the higher calling thing, right?
Right.
If it's just the sum of the parts, if it's just the stacks of T-shirts and the shelves full of shoes, then that's all you're going to get. So that's where I think the higher calling really comes in. And I do believe that our culture sort of embraces that. And again, we are imperfect. So there's always room for improvement, but we really try to manifest that daily.
Great. Well, Doug, thank you so much for your time today, folks. You can catch all our episodes on shoeandshow.com. You can, of course, find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Please subscribe and listen to our entire series as we start this new year, but also go back to the old episodes. There's still a lot of great content in there, great ideas and best practices that you can use to improve your efficiency, your operations, just thinking differently about how we do business going forward. That's really what this show is all about. So we appreciate everybody pulling up to the table and listening to our conversation today. Until next time, we hope you're healthy. We hope you're safe. Please keep wearing those masks. And until next time, Shoe-In is out.
Shoe-In has been brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. For information about FDRA, visit fdra.org.